What would you do if someone stopped you at a bridge, charged you money to cross it, and later you found out the bridge was yours? That is exactly what happened to me, and at first, I did not even know what kind of trouble I had just driven into. Before we go any further, take a second to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who loves a story where patience beats arrogance. It was 6:47 in the morning when I first saw the folding table. Not on the side of the road. Not near the bridge. Right in the middle of it. I was driving my old Ford truck, loaded with feed bags in the back. My coffee was still hot in the cup holder. I had only owned the ranch for a few weeks, and I was still learning the land, the fences, the gates, and the long quiet roads that came with it. Then I came around the bend and saw a card table blocking the only bridge between my property and the rest of the county. A woman stood behind it in a pastel polo shirt, holding a clipboard like it gave her power over the earth itself. She lifted one hand and waved me down. I slowed the truck and stopped a few feet from the table. She walked up to my window with a smile that did not feel friendly. It felt polished. Practiced. The kind of smile people use when they already know they are about to make your morning harder. "Good morning, sir," she said. "I am Karen Whitaker, president of the Whitestone Creek HOA. This bridge belongs to the community. I will need $75 for a bridge use permit before I can let you through." I looked at her. Then I looked at the folding table. Then I looked at the hand-painted sign leaning against one leg of the table. Bridge access. Resident permit required. Before I could answer, another woman came up on the passenger side of my truck. She had a blue laminated sticker in her hand. She reached through my open window and pressed it flat onto my windshield without asking me. Whitestone Creek resident, lot 47. She had tagged my truck like it was an animal. A young man in a black hoodie stood near the front of my truck. The words HOA Security were printed across his chest in peeling white letters. He leaned against my hood and scuffed my bumper with his boot like he had been waiting all morning for someone to impress. I looked back at Karen. "Ma'am," I said, "I am not in your HOA." Her smile grew wider. "Oh, I know, sweetheart," she said. "That is why you have to pay. Outsiders pay more." Then she lifted her phone and took a picture of my license plate. "For our records," she said. "Cross this bridge again without a permit, and I will call the sheriff for trespassing on community property." I kept both hands on the steering wheel. I had spent 30 years working in rooms where people thought volume was power. I had seen angry men slap tables, throw files, threaten careers, and lose every time to the quiet person who had the right papers. Karen did not know that yet. I was not going to teach her that lesson on the bridge. 2 trucks waited behind me. Both drivers looked like local men. Both kept their eyes down. One of them wore a seed company cap and stared at his steering wheel like that was the safest place to look. That bothered me more than the money. Those men were not confused. They were used to this. They had paid before. They had learned that arguing with Karen Whitaker cost more than $75. So I reached for my wallet. I counted out $75 and handed it to her through the window. Karen gave me a yellow receipt from a cheap receipt pad. Received $75, bridge use permit, K. Whitaker. I folded it once and put it in my glove box. Then I drove across my own bridge, though I did not know it yet. In my rearview mirror, I saw Karen high-five the young man in the hoodie. Like they had won something. Like taking money from a stranger was a sport. I did not shout. I did not call anyone. I did not make a scene. I drove to my gate, parked the truck, and sat there for a minute with the engine off. The blue sticker on my windshield looked bright and ugly in the morning sun. I had bought 6,000 acres outside that HOA. Rolling pasture, old fencing, a farmhouse that needed work, and a barn that had seen better days. I bought it from an estate sale after my wife passed. She had wanted peace for me. I was trying to find it. But peace, I was starting to learn, sometimes needs a lawyer. I went inside later that morning and saw the manila envelope from the title company sitting on my kitchen table. 28 pages of deed records, surveys, plats, and legal descriptions. I had not read all of it yet. That was my mistake. I had spent the week fixing fences, feeding the 3 horses that came with the place, and getting the water lines running again. Paperwork could wait, I told myself. That morning proved paperwork should never wait. Still, I did not open the envelope right away. When something knocks me off balance, I work with my hands first. So I went to the barn, fed the horses, and fixed a stretch of barbed wire where coyotes had been slipping under. My name is Ray Holloway. I was 52 years old, newly retired, newly widowed, and newly alone on a piece of land big enough to make a man feel both free and small. That afternoon, I drove into Cedar Hollow for nails and feed. On the way back, I stopped at my neighbor's place. Mr. Alderman was 78, ran cattle east of my land, and knew every person, road, and argument in the county. He was sitting on his porch, shelling pecans into a metal bowl. He looked up, saw my face, and started laughing before I said a word. "You met Karen Whitaker, didn't you?" I sat in the other rocking chair. "She charged me $75 to cross the bridge this morning." Alderman laughed so hard he nearly dropped the bowl. "Lord, she is still doing that." "You knew about it?" I asked. "Everybody knows about it," he said. "Nobody does anything." He cracked a pecan and dropped the shell into a bucket. "Karen has been president of that HOA for 11 years. Her father-in-law built the subdivision back in 2009. 96 houses. He threw up that bridge too. Built it well enough, but he built it where it was easiest, not where the paperwork said he could." I watched him closely. "What do you mean?" Alderman shrugged. "Land was owned by a Dallas trust back then. Nobody from the trust ever came out here. Old man Whitaker probably figured nobody would check where the bridge landed. I filed that away. The best information often comes from people who do not know it matters. Karen came to my house that evening. I was on the porch with a whiskey, watching the pasture turn blue in the last light. A silver SUV rolled up my gravel drive. I knew it was her before she stepped out. Same polo. Same clipboard. Same smile. "Mr. Holloway," she said. "I wanted to welcome you properly and discuss a few items of non-compliance." I did not stand. "Ma'am, I am not part of your neighborhood." "Well," she said, walking onto my porch without being invited, "that is actually what I came to talk about." She set a stapled document on the railing. Whitestone Creek Neighborly Conduct Agreement. 12 pages. At the bottom, my name was already typed beside a signature line. "Your fence," she said, pointing toward my north pasture. "It is painted a natural cedar color. Our community standard is whitestone tan. I can give you the paint code. It needs to be corrected within 30 days. That fence is on my land." "Yes, but it is visible from lot 47. "I do not care about lot 47. She kept going as if I had not spoken. "Also, your cattle are visible from one resident's kitchen window. That violates our community standards." I looked at her for a long moment. "Ma'am, my fence is on my property. My cattle are on my property. Your rules do not apply to me." She tilted her head. "Honey, if you use our bridge, you are in our HOA enough." I did not answer. She took my silence for weakness. Then she pulled out another paper. A notice of non-compliance. $250, due within 7 days. She taped it to my porch post with blue painter's tape she had brought in her pocket. 7 days, Mr. Holloway, she said. After that, it compounds. And if it goes to lien, well, you would not want that. Then she walked back to her SUV and left. The red tail lights disappeared down my drive. I sat there in the dark with crickets singing around me and a fake fine taped to my house. That envelope on my kitchen table felt heavier than it had that morning. 4 days passed. I did not pay the fine. I did not repaint the fence. I did not move the cattle. I did not sign the agreement. And I still did not open the envelope. Not because I was scared. Because I was angry. And I have learned not to read important papers while angry. You missed the one sentence that matters. On the 5th morning, I needed groceries. I drove toward town, came around the bend, and saw that Karen had raised the stakes. This time there was no folding table. There was an orange and white construction barrier dragged across both lanes of the bridge. A plywood sign leaned against it. HOA residents only. Outsiders pay $75 or turn around. I stopped the truck. Then I turned my dash camera toward the barrier and let it record. Karen came from behind a parked SUV. Her son stood near her in the HOA security hoodie, arms crossed like he was guarding a border. Karen walked to my window. "Mr. Holloway. You still owe $250 for your fence violation. Until that is paid, you do not have bridge access." I kept my hands on the wheel. "Ma'am, you cannot deny me access to the only road off my land." "It is not a road," she said. "It is an HOA-maintained private bridge. It is the only way in or out. That is not my problem. Pay the fine or turn around. Ma'am, step back from my truck." She leaned closer. "One more word and I am calling the sheriff." "Then call them," I said. For the first time, her smile cracked. She had expected fear. Or anger. Or a payment. She had not expected permission. She took out her phone and called. I started a second recording on my phone. When the deputy arrived, Karen was already talking loudly. She said I was trespassing. She said I had threatened residents. She said the bridge was community property. Deputy Morales listened without interrupting. Then he turned to me. "Sir, your side." "Good morning, Deputy," I said. "My name is Ray Holloway. I bought the ranch on the other side of this bridge. This woman charged me $75 to cross it last week. She gave me a receipt. Today she blocked the bridge and said I could not leave my own property unless I paid an HOA fine. I have recordings of both incidents." He asked to see them. I gave him the yellow receipt. Then I showed him the dash camera footage. He watched quietly. Then he looked at Karen. "Miss Whitaker, is this bridge on land deeded to the HOA?" She lifted her chin. "It has been the community bridge for 15 years. "That is not what I asked," the deputy said. "Is there a recorded deed or easement showing the HOA owns this bridge or the land under it?" Her mouth opened, then closed. "We maintain it," she said. Deputy Morales nodded slowly. "Ma'am, I am going to say this once. You cannot collect unauthorized tolls on contested property. You cannot block a road someone uses to enter and leave his land. Move the barrier, let this man pass, and do not collect another dollar here until you can show a deed." Her son stepped forward. "This is ours," he said. Deputy Morales raised one finger. "Son, stop talking." He stopped. Karen's face turned red. 2 cars had stopped on the far side of the bridge. A woman with a stroller was filming from the sidewalk. I drove around the barrier slowly. As I passed Karen, she shouted after me. "You think you are smart? I am filing a lien on your property. You will be homeless by Christmas, Mr. Holloway. You hear me? Homeless by Christmas." I did not answer. The woman with the stroller recorded every word. When I got home, I put the groceries away. Then I sat at the kitchen table, pulled the manila envelope toward me, and opened it. The plat map unfolded across the table. I turned on the lamp and leaned over it. The boundary of my ranch was marked in red. The creek cut through the southwest part of the property. A thin black line crossed the creek. The label was small. Whitestone Creek Bridge. Concrete and steel. 48-foot span. The bridge was inside my boundary. Not beside it. Not half on it. Inside it. 60 feet inside it. I read the line 4 times. Then I sat back. Karen Whitaker had charged me $75 to cross my own bridge. She had blocked my bridge. She had threatened to file a lien against my home because I would not obey her rules on my land. And for 15 years, her HOA had used that bridge as if it belonged to them. This is the point in the story where things start to turn, so pause for 1 second, hit like, subscribe if you have not already, and share this with someone who enjoys watching the quiet person win the long game. I called a real estate attorney the next morning. Her name was Paula Reyes. Alderman had recommended her. She had spent years in Dallas handling property fights and title disputes, then moved out here to take quieter cases. This one was not quiet for long. I sent her the deed, the plat, the receipt, the dash camera clips, and photos of the barrier. She called back 40 minutes later. "Ray," she said, "here is the plain English. You do not just own the land near the bridge. You own the bridge." I looked out the kitchen window toward the pasture. "There is no recorded easement," she continued. "No lease. No deed giving that HOA the right to use the bridge. The previous owner never granted one. The HOA never filed one. Old man Whitaker built it on land he did not own, and nobody checked." "Nobody checked," I said. "Exactly. And in this state, an easement needs to be written and recorded. Saying everybody has always used it is not enough." I sat still. "So every time they crossed it?" "Trespass," Paula said. "Every resident?" "Technically, yes. For 15 years. Yes." I did not feel happy. I felt cold. There is a kind of silence that comes when the facts finally line up and show you the shape of the fight. "Paula," I asked, "can I legally block the bridge?" "Yes." "Can I charge them?" "Yes." "Can I sue for the tolls, the threats, the fake fine, the lien if she files it?" "Yes, yes, and yes." "Trespass, unjust enrichment, defamation if she is making public claims, slander of title if she records a lien, and maybe more depending on what else she does." "What should I do?" Paula paused. "Do not block the bridge. Do not tell Karen what you know. Do not send a warning. Let her keep escalating. She is already making mistakes. The more she acts like she owns something she does not own, the clearer this becomes for a judge. So wait. Not wait," Paula said. "Document. Record. Save everything. Let her build the case for us." That afternoon, I started a folder. Plain manila. Black marker on the tab. Whitestone Creek exhibits. Inside went the yellow toll receipt. A photo of the blue sticker. A still image from the dash camera. A photo of the fake fine on my porch. A screenshot of the HOA website calling the bridge their community entrance. Tax records showing the bridge had been taxed to my property for 15 years. The deed. The plat. The recording of Karen threatening me in front of the deputy. By dinner, the folder already had weight. 3 days later, Paula called laughing. "Ray," she filed the lien. "For $250. I asked. "No." She added administrative fees. Total, $1,450. On my house? On your house. Can she do that? Not legally. But she did it anyway, and now we have a slander of title claim. That same day, I found my gate chain cut. A white pickup with an HOA logo was parked 30 yards inside my land. 2 men in reflective vests were clearing brush near the creek. I walked up calmly. "Gentlemen, what are you doing on my property?" "HOA grounds maintenance," one of them said. "Clearing the community entrance." "This is not the community entrance. This is private land. You cut my chain to get in here. The older man showed me a work order signed by Karen. Clear both approaches, 50 yards out. I looked at him. You can leave now, and I will only care about the chain. Or you can stay, and I will call Deputy Morales, who already has a folder on this HOA. They left. On the way out, the younger one kicked over a survey stake while looking right at me. I filmed that too. That weekend, Karen's son and 2 friends started a brush burn near the bridge. The wind shifted. The fire jumped the creek and burned 3 acres of my pasture. A stretch of fence was gone. An old oak tree that had been standing longer than any of us was gone too. The county fire marshal came out. His report named the HOA as the source and called the burn negligent. I added it to the folder. Then Karen made her biggest mistake. She posted on Facebook. The HOA community page had over 1,000 followers. She posted a picture of my truck and wrote that residents should be on alert. She said the outsider who bought the old ranch was trying to steal their bridge. She said if I won, home values would collapse and children would not be able to get to school. She called an emergency HOA meeting. Tuesday, 7 at night. All residents required to attend. The comments came fast. People called me a land grabber. A thief. A threat. Paula called within the hour. Please tell me you got screenshots. 3 angles, I said. With timestamps. Good. Public defamation. She is helping us more than she knows. I told Paula I wanted to attend the meeting. She did not like that at first. Ray, do not reveal the deed. Do not argue. Do not gloat. I will ask one question, I said. What question? Where is the easement? There was silence on the line. Then Paula laughed once. All right. One question. Then leave. That night, a woman came up my drive in an old sedan with one dim headlight. Her name was Edith Ellison. She lived in Whitestone Creek. She was in her mid-70s, wearing a white cardigan, and carrying a chicken and rice casserole wrapped in a towel. She looked frightened. Mr. Holloway, she said, I am not supposed to be here. Karen emailed us and said anyone who talks to you will be fined $500 for undermining board authority. I invited her to sit. She sat on the edge of the rocker, like she might run. My husband Harold is on dialysis 3 times a week, she said. Without that bridge, he cannot get to his appointments. Karen says you are going to close it. If you close it, Harold will die. I set the casserole down. Mrs. Ellison, I said, I am not closing the bridge. I am not charging tolls. I am not keeping anyone from a doctor, a school, or a pharmacy. That bridge will stay open for the residents. You have my word. Her eyes filled. But Karen says, she whispered. Karen says many things, ma'am. I am not Karen. She looked down at her hands. She has done this for years, Mrs. Ellison said. She fined a boy for painting his mailbox red. She made a family remove a wheelchair ramp because it did not match the neighborhood style. Nobody fights her because of the bridge. She uses it like a leash. That sentence stayed with me. She uses it like a leash. Mrs. Ellison asked why I was really going to the meeting. I gave her the closest truth I could. Because I am not going to close your bridge, I said. I am going to close her HOA. She reached over and squeezed my hand. Her hand was cold and thin, but her grip was strong. Harold will sleep tonight, she said. First time in a week. After she left, I called Paula. File everything, I said. All of it. All of it. Tuesday night, I went to the Whitestone Creek clubhouse. The room was packed. Folding chairs filled the floor. People stood along the walls. I counted more than 100 adults. Karen had gathered nearly the whole subdivision. At the front of the room, she stood behind a podium with a wooden gavel in her hand. Behind her, a projector showed a picture of my face. Under it were the words, "Threat to our community." I sat in the back row. Mrs. Ellison sat near the front, hands folded in her lap, eyes down. Karen spoke for 10 minutes. She called me an outsider. She said I wanted to take the bridge. She said children would miss school. She said the board had evidence that I had threatened residents, though she showed none. She said my cattle were a nuisance. She said my fence was an eyesore. She said the lien on my house was legal and only the beginning. Then she asked the room to approve $20,000 in emergency HOA funds to fight me in court. She also wanted the HOA to bar me from the clubhouse, pool, and community bridge. I raised my hand. Karen stopped. She saw me. That same old smile returned. "Well," she said into the microphone. "Look who decided to show up. The trespasser himself. Come up here, Mr. Holloway. Defend yourself in front of your betters." A few people laughed nervously. Most did not. I walked to the front carrying a plain manila envelope under my arm. It was empty. The real deed was locked in my farmhouse. Paula had told me not to show it, and I obeyed. At the front, I did not take the microphone. I stood beside the podium and looked at the room. "Good evening," I said. "My name is Ray Holloway. I own the ranch on the other side of the bridge. I have not threatened anyone here. I am here because your board president posted my photograph online and called a public meeting about me." The room went quiet. "I have one question," I said. "I would like every person here to hear the answer." I let the silence settle. "Can anyone here, Miss Whitaker, any board member, any resident, show me the recorded easement or deed that gives this HOA the right to use the bridge at your entrance?" Not a memory. Not a tradition. A recorded document filed with the county. Nobody moved. I waited. Karen laughed, but it sounded forced. "Mr. Holloway, we do not need a document. That bridge has been ours for 15 years. It belongs to us. It has always belonged to us. It always will belong to us." She said it into a microphone. In front of more than 100 people. In front of the stenographer she had hired. I turned to the stenographer. "Ma'am, could you please read that back?" Karen looked at her. The stenographer looked at Karen, then down at her machine. And because it was her job, she read it back word for word. "We do not need a document. That bridge has been ours for 15 years. It belongs to us. It has always belonged to us. It always will belong to us." "Thank you," I said. Then I turned back to the room. For anyone who wants to know whether that statement is legally true, I will be at County Court Thursday morning at 9. Room 2B. It is a public hearing about the lien your board president filed against my home. Everyone here is welcome to attend, especially anyone who was told they would be fined $500 for speaking to me. A man in the second row said, "What?" Karen started talking over me. "This is a private meeting. He has no right to be here." I ignored her. "I am not closing the bridge," I told the room. "I am not charging anyone to use it. I am not keeping your children from school or your family from the hospital. Anyone who told you that is lying to you." That changed the room. People began murmuring. Not angry at me. Angry in a new direction. I walked back up the aisle. At the door, I turned once. Karen gripped the gavel with both hands. "That is a shame, Karen," I said quietly. "Because I brought the deed." Then I lifted the empty envelope and walked out. Behind me, chairs started scraping. Voices rose. For the first time in years, people were asking Karen questions she could not control. The story is about to reach the courtroom, and this is where every receipt starts to matter. If you are still watching, like the video, subscribe for more stories like this, and share it with the person who always says, "Read the paperwork first." Thursday morning, I wore a navy suit my wife had bought me years earlier. Paula met me at the courthouse steps with a rolling box full of documents. Do not speak unless the judge asks you to, she said. Do not react to Karen. Look at the judge. Understood. Room 2B was smaller than I expected. Wood paneling. 8 rows of seats. A center aisle. Karen arrived 5 minutes before 9. She wore a charcoal blazer instead of her HOA polo. 3 board members came with her, along with her son in a shirt and tie that did not fit him. Their lawyer looked young, nervous, and badly prepared. The gallery filled behind us. I did not turn around, but Paula leaned close. You are going to want to see who came. Alderman was there. Mrs. Ellison was there. Deputy Morales came on his day off. The woman with the stroller was there. The stenographer from Tuesday night was there too, with a certified transcript in her lap. Judge Harland entered at 9 exactly. Silver hair. Dry expression. The kind of judge who had seen too many small people misuse small power. He told everyone to sit. Paula stood. Your Honor, she said, 2 matters. First, we ask the court to vacate the lien filed against my client's property. Second, we ask for an injunction stopping the HOA from interfering with my client's land and bridge. She presented Exhibit A. The certified plat appeared on the screen. My property boundary was marked in red. The bridge sat clearly inside it. 60 feet from the nearest line. Nobody spoke. Then I heard it. Karen's board members inhaled at the same time. The cheap suit lawyer leaned back and stopped writing. Paula let the room look at the map. Your Honor, the Whitestone Creek HOA has used a bridge on my client's private property for 15 years. There is no recorded easement, no lease, no deed, and no tax record showing any HOA ownership. My client and the prior owner paid taxes on that improvement every year. The judge looked at Karen's lawyer. Any dispute as to the plat? The lawyer stood halfway, sat down, then stood again. Your Honor, we would like time to review. Counsel, the judge said, is the plat accurate? I have not had the opportunity to determine that. Did your client file this lien? Yes, Your Honor. On what basis? The HOA has maintained the bridge. Maintenance is not ownership, the judge said. Sit down. He sat. Karen leaned forward and whispered sharply to him. He shook his head fast. Paula moved to the next exhibits. Tax records from 2009 to present. HOA bylaws, with no mention of the bridge. The HOA website calling it their community entrance. The handwritten $75 receipt. Then she played 40 seconds of dash camera audio. Karen's voice filled the courtroom. Good morning, sir. I am Karen Whitaker, president of the Whitestone Creek HOA. This bridge belongs to the community. I will need $75 for a bridge use permit before I can let you through. Someone in the gallery made a small sound and covered her mouth. Then Paula entered the transcript from the HOA meeting. The stenographer confirmed it. Karen had said they did not need a document. She had said the bridge was theirs. She had said it had always been theirs. Paula then entered the fire marshal report, the cut chain photos, the fake fine, the recorded lien, the Facebook post, and the screenshots of residents being told they would be fined for speaking to me. The courtroom became very still. Judge Harlan set down his pen. Miss Whitaker, he said, is any of this in dispute? Karen stood without being asked. Your Honor, it has always been our bridge. Everyone knows that. My father-in-law built it. We maintain it. We put gravel on it. That makes it ours. The judge looked at her. Always is not a legal instrument, Miss Whitaker. She sat down. 2 board members stood quietly, collected their coats, and walked out. They did not look at Karen. Judge Harlan gave his ruling. The lien filed by Whitestone Creek HOA against the Holloway property is vacated with prejudice. The HOA and its officers are forbidden from interfering with Mr. Holloway's bridge, land, or any resident's use of the bridge while this case proceeds. Mr. Holloway may post private property notices at his discretion. Then he looked at Karen. Miss Whitaker, I have been on this bench for 22 years. I will offer advice you did not ask for. When you are using someone else's property, the correct legal term is not maintenance. It is trespass. He tapped the gavel. We are in recess. Karen did not move. I stood, closed my folder, and reached into my pocket. I had kept the blue laminated sticker. Whitestone Creek resident, lot 47. I walked to Karen's table and placed it in front of her. You can keep this, I said. I will not be needing it. Then I left. In the hallway, Mrs. Ellison hugged me. She held on tight. Harold is at his appointment right now, she said. He will be home by noon. He is going to keep making it, ma'am, I said. 6 weeks later, Paula called while I was fixing a water line near the barn. Ray, you ready for the numbers? Go ahead. Full settlement. The HOA owes you $380,000. That covers the tolls, the burned pasture, the oak tree, the fence, the cut chain, the false lien, the defamation, the attorney fees, and the property damage. I stood there with a wrench in my hand. $380,000. Then Paula said the judge would allow me to decide the future of the bridge. You own it, Ray. You can charge them. You can close it. You can lease it. You set the terms. I looked across the pasture toward the creek. Write this, I said. Permanent easement granted by me to the residents of Whitestone Creek. No tolls. No checkpoints. No gates. Residents can cross freely at all hours. Ambulance access guaranteed. The HOA has no authority over the bridge. They do not inspect it. They do not maintain it. They do not place signs on it. I maintain it myself. Paula was quiet. Ray, you are giving up leverage. I am not doing this for leverage, I said. I am doing it for Harold Ellison. She drafted it that afternoon. I signed it on Monday. It was recorded with the county on Tuesday. The neighborhood changed fast after that. The HOA had to pay the settlement. That meant a special assessment of $2,100 per household. Residents were furious. Someone requested 10 years of HOA financial records. That opened another door. Karen's son had owned a landscaping company that received the HOA landscaping contract every year for 11 years. No bids. No competing quotes. Around $40,000 a year from residents' dues to a company run out of his pickup. The district attorney opened an investigation. 2 weeks later, the HOA held a recall vote. I did not go. Alderman texted me from the parking lot. 71-8. She is out. Another message came 1 minute later. Mrs. Ellison nominated as interim president. Passed unanimously. Then one more. First motion. Rename the bridge on all HOA and county maps. Holloway Crossing. I sat on my porch for a long time after that. I had not asked for my name on anything. The bridge already had an old survey name from decades ago. Holloway Crossing. No relation to me. Just a strange turn of history that now felt like a joke written by the land itself. The first Tuesday after the recall, I crossed the bridge at 6:47 in the morning, same time as that first day. There was no table. No barrier. No clipboard. No sticker. No hoodie. Just the bridge, the creek under it, and the road open like it should have always been. A woman walking her dog waved at me. I waved back. Karen's house went up for sale a week later. It sat on the market for a long time. Realtors called it a story property, which is a polite way of saying everybody knew what happened there. Eventually, a young couple bought it. They had moved from out of state and did not know the history. By then, Karen had moved 2 counties away. Alderman told me the HOA security hoodie was found in a donation bin outside the clubhouse. Life on the ranch finally became what my wife had hoped for me. Quiet. Not empty. Quiet. I fixed the farmhouse. I put a metal roof on it. I ran cattle. I hired a local kid to help on weekends. I bought a dog and named him Morales after the deputy. When I told the real Morales, he laughed so hard he nearly spilled his coffee. Alderman came over most Sundays. We sat on the porch with mugs in our hands and watched the pasture. Sometimes we talked. Mostly we did not. That is one of the better kinds of friendship. Harold Ellison never missed another dialysis appointment. Mrs. Ellison brought me chicken and rice once a month for a year. I finally had to convince her she did not owe me anything. She still waved every time I crossed the bridge. I posted one sign. Small. Wooden. Hand-carved by Alderman. It stood on a cedar post at the south end of the bridge. Private property. You are welcome. In the barn, I hung the blue laminated sticker in a simple black frame. Whitestone Creek Resident, Lot 47. Beside it, I hung my old retirement papers from the United States Army Corps of Engineers, Contracts and Real Estate Division. 30 years of reading documents had taught me a lesson most people learn too late. Always read the survey. Sometimes my niece visits and asks why I keep that ugly sticker. I tell her the short version. A woman once charged me $75 to cross a bridge. Turned out I owned the bridge. She laughs every time. Children like stories with clean endings. But the real ending is not that clean. The real ending is this. Karen did not lose because I shouted louder. She did not lose because I threatened her. She lost because she believed fear was stronger than paper. She believed a clipboard could replace a deed. She believed people would stay quiet forever because they always had. But land remembers. Records remember. Receipts remember. And quiet people remember too. So when someone tries to make you feel small, stay calm. Keep the receipt. Read the survey. And never assume the loudest person at the bridge is the one who owns it. Before you leave, give this video a like, subscribe for more stories built on patience and justice, and share it with someone who would have opened that manila envelope a little sooner than I did.